Plaintiff Chaz Hill says he's a hardworking small businessman who's owed for 9 days of cleaning service. He's suing for $1,125. Defendant Raymond Burse claims the plaintiff is sloppy and a frequent no-show who's responsible for negative reviews for his Airbnb business.
This is case number 247 on the docket, Hill versus Burse.
We have the plaintiff, Mr. Hill, and you are suing the defendant, Mr. Burse, for $1,125 for what you say failing to pay him after he cleaned his Airbnb.
Correct. We here today dealing with this crooked businessman right here. I'm trying to get my money, trying to rob me out of a month and a half of services rendered to his property. Now,
What do you do?
I own a cleaning business. I've owned since 2009. So
okay.
I've been doing this. I'm a small business owner, just trying to,
Yep.
make it on my own. It's very hard. So after, several months of giving him services to this one location.
And what is this location? I don't
It's
mean
an
the
Airbnb.
address.
I'm sorry.
It's an Airbnb.
It's an Airbnb where he owns a house or whatever, and he rents it out like hotel services.
Right.
And I come in and clean it before, or after a client leave. So after several months of everything running smoothly,
Okay.
we had a situation one time where one of the vacuums had went out, and I work a construction job 10 hours a day, so I had employees helping me, but the house has to be ready before 4 o'clock check-in.
Sure.
So my employee was cleaning it and cleaned probably 80% of it, and the upstairs had some carpet. The vacuum went out upstairs
Yes.
before she could finish the job.
Yep.
So she called me and let me know at my job, so I tried to rush there after my job and finish the job, but the clients had already came.
How much do you get paid a day?
$125 every time I go clean the job.
All right. So that was one thing. What was the other
The second time where the employee did, everything, but somehow she put the towels in the drawer. I know that they should have been left out in plain sight, but so there was 2 incidents, the only 2 incidents that ever happened in our whole, relationship. Not even rendering all the times that I done did personal things for them, like go buy fire sticks,
Okay,
hook up
you're
fire
suing.
sticks.
You're suing for $1,125.
Correct.
How many days is that of not being paid?
9 days.
You're saying for 9 days you weren't paid.
Yes, and only 2 incidents out of them 9 days where he felt that he don't have to pay me nothing. And
Okay.
when the time when I brought up the situation, because he never said anything about me about the money. I came to him about the deductions because I'm a businessman and I've been doing this for a long time. So not being able to give the service 100%, I knew that I owed him a deduction. So when I put it on the table that I was going to give him a deduction, I guess he felt like we never came to agreement on how much it was. And he was saying he just lost all contact. When I started mentioning the money, it was right around the time, after the time he was supposed to pay me. So he just cut off all ties.
Okay. And now your side.
Yes, Your Honor. I have quite the story to the contrary of what we've just heard. I gave Mr. Hill a great opportunity to jump in with a few of my business partners who, one who had a management service, essentially managing Airbnbs across the city of Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
And so with this opportunity that we gave Mr. Hill was an opportunity to grow with us as we grew.
Yes.
I am a property investor, have homes coast to coast and then also in the Midwest.
Yes.
And so as I was going to grow my operation in Columbus, Ohio,
To the story.
I had a friend.
Let him talk now.
I had a friend who lives there as well, who was a mutual friend between Mr. Hill and I.
Yes.
And so he said that Mr. Hill had a cleaning service, and so we employed him at let's call it Airbnb location number 1.
Okay.
And at this time, it was managed by a management company because I was living in another city and wasn't there to be there for the day-to-day operations. And so Exhibit 1 here is the management company telling me that Mr. Hill failed to show up for the job on multiple occasions and that they had to remove him from the operation because they weren't able to trust him.
Is it the Airbnb that we're talking about?
Yes,
Okay.
this is another Airbnb, so I have 3 there in the city of Columbus.
That I still
Okay.
was cleaning at.
But this is not the...
This is setting up the story, sir. Your
Okay,
Honor.
this is just the
Yeah,
background,
right,
but it
background.
hasn't to do with you withholding the pay for...
No, right. So
Okay.
now I have another Airbnb number 2 that need cleaning services as well. Because of the friendship that I had between our mutual friend, I felt as though we should give Mr. Hill another opportunity to prove himself, to prove his company. As the operation started, the complaints started rolling in right away, more than 2. And so, Your Honor, I have a couple of different opportunities to show you here where guests are complaining. One, of course, about the towels. And this is for the Airbnb at question.
Okay.
Second, there's another message from another guest saying that there are dirty dishes when they when they arrived. And again, it's another complaint from a guest. And so that's complaint number 2. Here's number 3, saying, I wanted to make you aware that the carpet upstairs was not vacuumed at all and in fact found a piece of glass. The downstairs seems to be clean, but just in general, the upstairs feels unclean. And
Was
Your Honor,
that the incident he was talking about where the vacuum didn't work upstairs?
to be honest, Your Honor, I'm not sure if that was the incident, but it's just it's a reoccurrence of the same problem, things not up to par with the guests. And to mention, when this happens with the guests, they pay me a $190 cleaning fee when they essentially rent their apartment from me. When these things are happening, I have to refund that money to the guests. Then on top of it, I give a discount on top of that of probably another night's rent as it totals up to. Sometimes these guests are paying in excess of $300 a night. So this is costing me lots of money, more than the $1,000+ that Mr. Hill is here about. In addition to this, Airbnb works on crowdsourced information. So as guests leave bad reviews, Airbnb gives you an unfavorable rating on the website, which then means you're falling lower in the search results when someone's searching, thus minimizing your ability to book your nights out and to command a higher rate. So it's compounded beyond just the money that I'm losing by giving money back to the guests. It's a longer tail effect to me as a business owner when this is happening. And so there's 3. Here's complaint number 4. Walking into an unclean unit and not being able to set up for your weekend because cleaning people need to come back started off on a bad note. So that's complaint number 4.
These are different clients.
Different guests, yeah, different clients.
Guests.
Can you ask him the dates?
I just have November 2018.
But it wasn't clean because I didn't get payment. I let him know it wasn't going to get cleaned if I didn't receive payment.
No, this is an opportunity where
It was supposed to be paid the first.
You just mentioned that you were charging me for cleans that
Show
you did.
one date that you gave anybody back some money.
And this last one here is a review, which highlights, let's see, where there was no cleaning and mop buckets left out. And this is, mind you, Your Honor, this is an opportunity where I'm first coming in as an Airbnb host, managing it myself. This is the time where it's critical because Airbnb allows you to become what they call a super host, which essentially is a boost to your searchability for guests. And so there's like a heightened period of time, let's say within the first 45 days that you've opened up your shop or opened up your business, to then prove to Airbnb that you're a trustworthy host within their platform. And so as these things are happening, it essentially rendered that null and void for me.
To stop negotiation and just feel like you ain't got to pay me nothing out of all them days, that's criminal.
I understand you got complaints about him and you're unhappy with his work, and of course it's your business and you can and you've decided you're not using him anymore, I suspect. Okay, so the only question then left before me is the amount of money that he says he's owed. How much of that is legitimately withheld, or how much of it should he have been paid? Now, what I have are 3 different clients that were unhappy. And I know you get paid $125 a day. So rather than withhold, so I'm not even dealing with the question of whether or not you gave a refund back, because I would argue, which is on your side, I would argue that that's your decision as a businessman. The only issue I'm dealing with is what should he be paid for the work he did. I am willing to go along with you that for the 3 days that there were complaints, those 3 days he should be docked. That's fair. So what I'm saying, the days he was there cleaning where there was no complaint on that particular client, he should be paid. So when he sues for $11.25, because he wants you to pay him for that, I'm willing to dock him or have you dock him for the 3 days, which is $375 from $11.25 comes to what, $750?
$750.
I find for the plaintiff in the sum of $750.
he didn't want the service, he could have stopped weeks and weeks before the end date where he knew he wasn't gonna pay. So I think he was just up to a scam, and you know, he won today, but I did get compensated. So
I wouldn't recommend Mr. Hill to anyone, and to hire him with caution going forward.
Plaintiff Maya Lachman claims her former friend failed to repay her for a plane ticket. She's suing for $378. Defendant Alexa Dean claims the plaintiff is a former drug addict who doesn't remember that she's already been paid back. She says she owes nothing.
It's case number 2 on the docket, Lachman versus Dean.
Ms. Lachman, the plaintiff, you are suing the defendant, Ms. Dean, in the amount of $378 for breach of contract. You are suing her for $378.
Yes.
Why?
I bought her a plane ticket for my cousin to come out and see her. She said that...
Oh, so they were dating. She was
Yes.
dating your
She was
cousin.
dating my cousin.
He wanted to see her.
Well, she wanted him to come out and see her. I bought them a ticket with my credit card. They said that they were going to be selling their car in March. They were in a blizzard at the time. So in March, I'd be able to get the money from the car they were selling to pay me back.
Okay.
March came.
So basically, you loaned them $378.
Well, I loaned them $400 and something, but then she paid me $100 in March. But then I didn't hear from her after that.
Okay.
I went out to Austin a couple different times to meet up with her to get some money. She was like, yeah, you know, we'll meet at this time. I would show up, and then she would just ghost, you know, like not text back, not answer my calls.
So
like
you
no
want
response.
the rest of the $478
Right.
back that she didn't pay back, and you're saying it's about $100 she paid back.
Yes, sir.
Lexi, what's your story?
I don't even know why we're here today. I've realized that the only reason we're at court today is because Maya had a really bad drug problem back then. And I guess she just forgot that she had a drug problem back then. The thing is, like, when I first met her, we went to a party, and she invited me. I met her over Facebook through my ex. Yeah, because he was still in Virginia. And she was like, come to this party. So I go, because I don't know people out there. I had just moved there.
Yeah.
And we get there, and there's hobos, crackheads. It's in a really shady part of Texas. So, yeah, I get there. She's, like, all drugged out. And the other reason that I do know she was on drugs...
Why is this relevant?
It's relevant because she was always on drugs, and she forgot that we had an agreement.
And what was the agreement? Because she
agreement-
said she bought a ticket for $478. You remember that?
Yeah, we already paid her $200. We paid her $200, right? And we saw her every time she was messed up. And then I called her one day, and I was like, hey, we're moving back to Virginia. So if we take you to Virginia, you know, so you can get out of your terrible lifestyle.
So they were moving back to Virginia?
No, me and my ex were moving back to Virginia.
Oh, you were moving back to Virginia?
Yes, we were moving back. And I wanted her to, you know, come clean and, you know, stop being crazy and come with us and come live with her family. So I was like, if we drive you out there, can you, like, you know, let the $278 that's left over, can you just, like, cancel it out? And she's like, yeah, we can. We drove 20 hours, Your Honor. I don't know if I can give this to you. Oh, sorry.
So you were, thank you. Yeah, this is a map of the United States of America.
First of all, don't let this pretty face fool you. She is a liar, she's a manipulator, and she is an attention whore. She will do anything for money. She's a stripper. So she has, like, traveled out of the state and lied about it, saying that she was still in Virginia when really she went out to Atlanta and posted on social media, and so that she could do full nudity.
What's the difference where she strips?
Well, in Virginia, it's not full nudity. It's just like go-go dancing. But in other states, they allow full nudity. So there's, like, opportunity to make more money, I guess.
Okay. This is all interesting, but is it relevant to the case?
Well, she's a liar. So she told me that she was going to be able to pay me for this ticket.
What we have here is what we call accord and satisfaction. That means a replacement type of repayment. So an alternative way to repay. You're saying that the $378 that you owed, or $278, depending on whether $100 was paid back or $200, but the amount that was still owed, you're saying that it was because you gave her a ride, so that should be the repayment. She would have to agree that the ride you're giving her to Virginia Beach is in place of the $278 or $378 that she still owes.
Absolutely, Your Honor,
Okay.
and she did agree to that.
But you don't remember doing that.
That's not true.
Yes.
What I told them was I don't want to move to Virginia. I want to come visit because my family and I don't get along.
Yeah.
So I was coming to visit, and in return, to replace the ticket, they would just buy me my ticket back to Texas. So a ticket for a ticket.
Yeah.
And then halfway through the trip, I find out that no, That's not the case, that they're thinking that me riding along with them on a trip they were already taking was repaying me back. Not to mention the whole time they were arguing, so then we ended up in silence.
Okay.
Her mom was there, it was terrible.
Okay. So it doesn't seem, since there's, neither of you are giving me evidence of whether or not there was an agreement.
I don't have evidence for the agreement, but I do have the plane ticket.
Okay, I'll take a look at that, but neither of you are disputing that, so I'm...
Everything else was verbally through
Yeah,
phone.
I'm taking that as truth because you both agree with it. So the only thing in question here is whether that ride to Virginia was in place of you paying back the money for the ticket you bought, okay? So is that a replacement? And that is going to, since I don't have any evidence of an agreement, because in most cases something like that would probably be verbal. You guys at the time were at least
I mean, she didn't give
acquaintances,
any
if not
gas
friends,
money or
and one
anything.
says to the other, hey, we'll drive you there. But if it's not for her benefit, if it wasn't like she needed that ride over there, you're saying you didn't need the drive over there. You guys were going there anyway, and you just said you want to come along. So I don't see that necessarily as repayment. If she needed a ride there and you gave her something of value, then I would see that that is repayment. But if it's just, hey, we're going to Virginia, come along with, you can spend some time with her, whatever, that, unless there's evidence that she agreed that that was repayment, I don't see that as being repayment. $278 is what is still owed. I find for the plaintiff.
It's whatever, it's better than getting nothing.
Honestly, it's okay, because I understand that she's just jealous because she still works at 7-Eleven. That $200 is gonna help her a lot. Like, it's not my fault that her family can't pay her back. But it's okay, it'll help out. It helps out the needy, it's fine.